welcome to Taco Tuesday, where the tacos are cheaper than whores and just as delicious. Today we have a guest star with us. We're going to let her introduce herself in just a minute. We wanted to thank you guys for the listens on the last podcast. We really enjoy the comments, the sharing. You two can't fucking keep it together for more than 30 seconds, I swear to God. Lauren.
I didn't do anything.
I have with me today, in addition to Meg and Lauren, a dear friend of mine from college named Gwen. Gwen and I met freshman year of college and have been close ever since then. We're gonna talk about how Gwen is probably the most fascinating person I've ever met, and kind of background on her and where she comes from and what her sexuality means to her, and it's gonna be an interesting ride if you guys will settle in with us. So Gwen, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can move past like how we met and etc.
Cool. Hello, I'm Gwen. I moved a lot in my life. I started traveling internationally when I was 6 months old. I've been to probably a million different places. I met Corey in college, like she said, and we've been good friends ever since, even though I've moved several times to different states, been out of the country for a couple years. That's the first time I've ever had a friend for that long, which is cool.
Yep. Yeah. Gwen and I met, as we've said before on the podcast, I have a degree in theater, and one of the requirements to get that degree was a class called Stagecraft, which was taught by our dear friend Christina Stump, who I believe listens to these. So, hey, Christina, what's up?
Hi, Christina.
And we got split into groups to like clean up the theater and stuff because we were in between productions. And I got assigned the prop closet, which was a mess.
I can only imagine.
At the time.
They always are.
Yeah, I've never seen a clean prop closet.
Yeah, our prop closet, and then our costume, like...
The costume
storage.
Cage?
Yeah, dead storage for costume.
Mm-mm.
A mess every time. We do, like, bag sales.
What actually happens is I had spoken to Christina beforehand and Wayne about being the props person for the next show. And so I was sent in there with assistants that I could choose.
Oh, yes, that is right.
And I really liked Corey's hair, and I really liked Brittany's hair, and at that point in my life, that's how I was choosing friends. So I said I want them to come help me.
Hey, it didn't lead you wrong.
Yeah.
It did not.
Yeah.
It did not.
We are still friends with both of those people. So,
Yes.
I mean, Gwen and I am still friends with both of them.
I'm still friends with both of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we found like a couple of really interesting things. One of which was a sock puppet that we nicknamed a sock penis, and it was a very weird day. But
It was less a sock puppet, more a sock doll.
yeah,
You couldn't stick your hand in there.
yeah,
But it was weird.
yes, it was very weird. So that's how we met, and then freshman year was pretty tumultuous for everybody involved, and it was a time before I knew Meg and Lauren, so yes, freshman year, there are several stories we could tell, including the story where Gwen stabbed herself with her own knife.
I was an idiot.
Yes, you were.
Things happen.
The time we almost died on the railroad tracks.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was one. Let's see, what else?
Later on, we can talk about the time Sam almost died on the railroad tracks.
Yep, she did. People kept almost dying on these railroad tracks. Don't build colleges next to railroad tracks. It's not a good idea. Let's see. Yeah, like it was probably one of the most up and down times in my life, and Gwen was probably one of the only people that was there consistently for most of it. Yeah, it was just a very, very weird time. But Gwen, when I met Gwen, my first impression of her was, okay, first of all, don't touch this girl. She does not want to be touched. Do not hug her. And I come from a Hispanic family, and everybody touches and everybody like hugs and stuff. So that was kind of a culture shock for me. And second of all, Gwen is asexual, and I'm going to let her kind of explain what that means. She's actually, do you have her certificate, or were you just trained to like?
It's not really a certification, but I've done a bunch of seminars on it, and that used to be what I did with my school's gay-straight alliance after I switched colleges.
Yeah.
When I was the vice president of that, and at least once a month I'd do a seminar.
So what is asexuality, and then kind of explain what that means to you specifically.
So asexuality is the lack of sexual attraction towards any gender, non-gender person, animal. I don't experience sexual attraction towards them. So if you, at any point in your life, have gone, I would have sex with that person, then you are not asexual. I, however, have the same sexual interest in people as I do the door, or Scarlet, or the dresser over there. So that's what that is. I'm also aromantic, which means I don't experience feelings of a romantic attraction towards anyone. So, like, if you've ever felt the thought, or had the thought of saying, going, I'd go on a date with them. I don't really think that doesn't happen for me. Yeah.
So at this point, I'm gonna interject and say Gwen is engaged to a man.
So how did that happen? How did you meet Kyle, and how did all of this come into fruition?
We met because I worked on the cruise ship for the last 2 years. I was working as an AV apprentice under sound for most of that, and production under some of the rest of it. And he worked as a saxophone player in the orchestra. So that meant he worked about 3 hours a day if he worked that day. I worked about 10 to 14 hours a day, every day. So I like talking to my musicians because then they're more likely to tell me what's going wrong. And so they are, I make friends with them, especially if they're American. And I made friends with Kyle, and after several months, he started seeming like he was going to ask me out, which freaked me out a lot. And then he did, but he was the first person in my life who actually said, and whatever you don't want to do, I'm okay with not doing. Everybody else had always been like, you'll change, you'll learn to like sex, you'll learn to like the things, you'll learn to do the things that normal people do. There are air quotations around normal. Yeah, and so I was like, yeah, let's try it. And so we've been together for a little over a year now, and he proposed the day after my birthday. And
What did
yeah.
you guys do for your first date?
So because I'm aromantic, I tend also not to notice romantic things that happen.
That's fair.
I'm not sure. So like, unless I'm told that it's a date, I probably don't notice.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that happened in college once or twice where somebody was actively pursuing Gwen, and then we had to sit down and be like, Gwen, this person is actively pursuing you, and she's like, well, that's gross.
And then I usually didn't talk to them again. Because it was weird, and yeah.
Okay, let's go into Kyle proposing. How did you feel in that moment? If you're aromantic, is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So since you don't have those, need to be romantic and things like that, what did you feel when he proposed to you?
I was very happy. I love Kyle. I have more feelings for Kyle than I have ever had for anyone in my life. It is a different love than he feels for me. He's not aromantic, but I'm not romance repulsed. So I'm okay with things. I'm okay with romantic things happening. He knows that sometimes I'm confused about them, or that I just don't know what's going on. But Kyle is a person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and this works.
So naturally, because I know Gwen's family, and I know that this was kind of a difficult thing for them to accept, because it's not something that was really a thing up until like the last couple of years.
The 70s.
Yeah.
It was the word asexual was pretty much invented by Alfred Kinsey when he did his study, and he went, oh, there's 1% of the population doesn't fall on my scale. They don't want sex. They don't feel the need for sex. They don't do that. And so that's when the word asexual was created.
Right. And Gwen didn't really figure out what she identified as until I think probably second semester of freshman.
Yeah.
A freshman year.
Yeah, I just thought something was wrong with me.
Yeah. And so when she explained it to her family, there of course was a learning period,
yes.
shall we say. And then she got proposed to. I knew about Kyle's from about the beginning. She was talking to me, and she's like, so there's this guy. And I was like, okay. Is he like all the other guys? And she goes, I don't know. And I was like, okay. So he actively pursued her, and I told her, I was like, hey, if this is the thing that you want to do, then I say do it. And so they started dating, and she's like, don't tell my family. And I was like, I will not say anything to anybody. And then I think about 3 days later, she went Facebook official, and she's like, you can tell people now. And so I kind of want to hear about, without getting into specific of like who said what, like the general reaction of what that was.
The general reaction was surprise. My dad asked. He was very concerned about whether or not Kyle was male or female. And yeah, mostly just a lot of surprise and congratulations. And then later came the wait, but do you guys do the thing? What thing? Say the words. You're adults.
Do you guys have sex?
No.
Yeah. So, and when Gwen was proposed to, she sent me a message, and I immediately called my mother, who knows Gwen and loves Gwen.
I was with you.
Yeah, we were in New Jersey at the time.
Lost her mind.
I lost my goddamn mind.
Eve was driving and almost crashed the car.
I was not driving, which was good. But I called my mother, who was with my grandmother, who was 80 years old. And I was like, Gwen is getting married. And my mom was like, what do you mean? And I was like, the guy that she's been dating, he proposed, they're gonna get married. And my mom goes, but they're not gonna have sex. And I was like, no, that's not their thing. And my grandma was like, well then that's not marriage. And I was like, Grandma, there are married couples who don't have sex everywhere. They just don't say, we don't have sex. And I was like, it is a real relationship. There is still intimacy. There is still a connection there. There is just no physical aspect to it. It's kind of like being in a long-distance relationship with the other person sitting next to you. And she was like, well, that's weird to me. But she was way more accepting than I thought she was going to be.
I also use this metaphor, maybe it's a metaphor. I also tell people, well, so you're married? Yes. Okay, if your significant other was in a terrible accident and could no longer have sex with you, would you then leave them?
Yes, but I have a clause in my marriage because of it. It's a walk-away policy.
And that's how your life works.
Yes!
But most people tend to say, well, I mean, no. Because no, and so I'm like, yeah. See, you can be married and not have sex.
Yeah, but
You can do almost anything and not have sex.
It's
That
true.
is true.
There are,
Except for sex.
except for, yes, sex is like the one thing you can't do and also not have sex.
Yep.
Sorry. So yes, so that is like the asexuality kind of in a nutshell, and I was fortunate enough to be there and kind of watch Gwen discover what that meant, and then through that we found out that we had at least like 2 other friends who kind of fell into that similar category, and through Gwen discovering it, basically just fucking around on the internet.
Yeah.
We found that like there was this whole thing, and that's actually how I found out I was pansexual, because I didn't really know what it was, but she was looking at asexual and she's like, there are all these different other ones, and I was like, what are you talking about? So then we go through the list and like I land on pansexual, and I was like, well, all right, that
There's a word.
there is a word for the thing that I am, and that was pretty cool. And then Gwen, on the flip side, in addition to being like one of the most interesting people I know, is probably the person that I would want to stage manage my life, should that be a thing. I have seen Gwen turn around productions that were not going to be good and turn them into something that was at the very least passable. We would be in the theater fixing things until the next morning. We'd go in for rehearsal, which was at like 5 or 7.
5.
And then we would be there until class the next day, fixing whatever and doing whatever needed to be done.
Painting, building, making props, finding props, costume stuff, sound stuff, lighting stuff. which lighting stuff was one of the biggest problems in that theater. It took 6 people to do a light hang.
Yeah, which is not normal or good.
Yes.
It's where we went to college, at least where I graduated and where Gwen was up until 2012, so a year before I graduated, where we spent the majority of our time, and it was a very old building, and so you had to first build the scaffolding, which is always a bitch and a half, and then you had to get somebody on the scaffolding, which is we had like 3 guys that were willing to get up there, and 2 of them we didn't trust. And one of them was always busy.
Yes.
And from there, you had to have at least 2 people in the booth, one of them looking at the script to look at light cues, and the other one actually like on the board trying to get it to work.
And then also writing down what it is, because that board liked to crash and lose your entire show files.
Yeah.
And then we had 2 people pushing the scaffolding, somebody cutting gels and being talent on stage, and then somebody in the back by the patch bay, and the talent on stage would yell to the patch bay.
It was an interesting couple of years. But then Gwen decided that because the theater that we were in, Gwen came into school wanting to be a pharmacist, which nobody believed that that's what she was meant to do. But that's what...
That's what I thought I was gonna do.
She was like, they make a lot of money. And we're like, okay.
That's a fair thought.
Yeah.
So, somewhere around there, she's like, well, I'd actually really like to do lighting and sound. And the college that we went to just didn't offer enough of that for her to actually major in it. So she ended up...
There were literally 0 classes on sound or stage management.
Yeah, you just learned what you learned. So she ended up going to...
Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida.
Yeah.
Where I got a degree, a Bachelor of Science in show production and touring. And I learned all about sound and stage management and lights and video stuff and... yeah.
So
I did some shit.
She's heavily judging our setup right
Oh, yeah.
I feel the judgment.
Lots of judge. Lots and
Look,
lots of
we're
judging.
an amateur production. We're just trying to make it, man.
Yeah, we're just trying to interview some people and say some shit and see some shit.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
What
Although
was
they
it?
can't
What was
see some
the...
shit.
Yeah.
No, what was the name of the book we were gonna write?
I have no idea.
Were we writing a
3
book?
assholes and a microphone.
Yes, there it is.
Wait,
Good book
was that
title.
where we talked about writing a book? I am not on board for that.
We were
Okay,
gonna
so-
write a memoir, and that's the name of the book.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 assholes and a microphone.
Yeah, fuck you. 2 assholes and a microphone. We
There
did
it
this.
Go with that.
So you guys, I asked you to prepare questions for Gwen. I assume that neither of you did it.
I
I
have
hate homework.
questions.
Well, then let's go for it. Like,
All right, what are your questions?
Touching.
Touching. I don't.
So where does that come from? The not wanting to be touched.
It's partially. It started out with hugs. Partially when I hit puberty and your boobs hurt, and I didn't want to hug people because my boobs hurt. And then I realized that I was not understanding body language from a lot of people a lot of the time, and so it became easier just not to touch. And then it just became a thing where it freaked me out when I was
touch
touched.
people.
Yeah, or touched people. So I just don't do it.
How do you and Kyle handle that?
He's the one person he's the second person I'm okay with. I'm also okay with my sister.
Okay.
But generally, yeah, I'm pretty okay with him touching me.
Okay.
which is good because of the whole marriage thing.
We do cuddle.
Yeah. I mean, they will have to be in the cohabiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Also,
we
at
did
one
on
point in the ceremony, there is touching.
Yes.
Oh, yes. What are you guys doing for the kiss thing? 'Cause
We're
you guys
not.
don't- Yes.
I don't know
high
what-
five?
I don't know what we're doing instead. Maybe high-fiving. Who knows? Handshake.
Pound it.
Maybe fist bump.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe fist bump. Who knows? We haven't talked about it. I got engaged in November, and then he left the ship, so I haven't seen him since then. So it's been a while.
I
Yeah.
say
And I haven't
go
gotten to discuss it.
for the Parent Trap, like, special handshake.
All right.
Yeah.
Create a secret handshake.
That is a really cool
Maybe.
handshake in the Parent Trap. What happened, Lindsay?
A lot.
Podcast for a different
A
time.
lot of things happened to Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, so there's that. Okay. Do you have any questions for...
No come.
Okay. So, when talking about your parents, because they're also pretty fucking fascinating people.
Yes.
So, your dad was in the Navy.
For 20 years.
Yes. And your mom married him.
So, there's a fun story about how they met. They were in this bar, and Dad had told his friends, like, if I ever meet a woman who plays pool, drinks beer, and listens to John Prine music, I'm gonna marry her. And so they were in this bar, and Mom was there 'cause she liked to play pool. And she was drinking beer because it was cheaper than drinking soda. And so my dad started talking to her, and she was like, yeah, sometimes I like coming to this bar because sometimes they play this song called Dear Abby, which is a song by John Prine. And he was like, oh man. And then they dated for a little while, and then Dad was married. And then he got divorced, and like a month later they got married.
To your mom?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I found the divorce papers a couple weeks ago. It was really funny.
So, Gwen's name is not Gwen. Gwen
No.
is actually, oh fuck, I can't say your name because of the acronym that I made for it.
Oh,
So,
my name is pronounced Guinevere, but it's spelled with the original Welsh spelling from the King Arthur myth, so nobody can pronounce it unless they know Welsh.
so I say Gwen Highway Far.
Because that's how it's spelled.
Yes. It's literally Gwen with the abbreviation for Highway Far. So I say Gwen Highway Far.
Most people do.
Yes. And her sister's name is Evangeline.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
But everyone calls her Eve.
We are both named after songs.
Yes. Which song is that?
Guinevere
Well, yeah, but
by Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
thank you. And
Evangeline, I can't remember who sings her song, but it's about this woman who kills her husband, I think, on a riverboat. Yeah, they're really not great. Like, if you listen to the lyrics, you're like, you named children after this? But okay.
yeah, funny story. Chris brought to Gwen that we considered naming our child Penny Lane Champagne, to which Gwen replied, if you name your kid that, I'll kidnap your kid.
Yeah, also when he wanted to name the child Charmander.
Yeah, that was a dark
Chris,
period of our life.
There was a little while when, like, every time I spoke to Chris, I was just like, I'm stealing your children.
So
Any
I'm
child
not
that you
on
have.
board with the Penny Lane champagne until Corey jokingly, like, angrily said it like she was yelling at a child, and the way she said it, I was like, oh, I could see it.
Yeah, but that kid's gonna be made fun of so much.
It's my kid. It's gonna be made fun of no matter what. I just need to toughen it up from birth. That way it beats up whoever tries to make fun of it.
I was gonna say it's
Okay.
Chris's kid that's gonna be made fun of.
Yeah.
Hence me toughing it up. And when I said it's my kid, I meant it's a product of
Yeah.
he and I.
I can't see this.
I'm talking to you.
Okay.
But yeah, so Gwen met in college. Gwen is from a tiny town.
I'm not from a tiny town. I went to high school in a tiny town.
Listen, it's where I met you. It's where your house was.
Alright.
That's where you're from, to me. Where would you say you're from then, Gwen?
I've spent more time in my life in Williamsburg, Virginia than I have anywhere else.
Let's talk about Williamsburg.
Alright. What about it?
Let's talk about your fucking family heritage there.
Let's not. My family's been in Williamsburg for a long time. My grandfather was the mayor for a while. And many of people in my family have run for public office. I don't think anybody currently has public office. My uncle owns a radio station in Williamsburg. And my grandparents own a lot of property that they rent out to college students and or businesses in the area.
What does your grandpa say about real estate? It's never a bad investment or something?
They don't make more of it.
No, fair enough.
They don't make more, so keep what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah, we very rarely sell property.
Yeah, you'd probably like throw a rock somewhere in Williamsburg and hit something owned by Gwen's grandparents.
Probably.
Yeah. So yeah, she spent the majority of her time in Williamsburg, Virginia, but she went to high school in Timberville.
Yes, Timberville, Virginia. The actual high school was a town over, though, because it's too small. And I went to high school in Broadway High School.
Yeah, I thought I came from a small town because Suffolk is relatively small. In the sense of like community, there's a lot of land because there's a lot of like farming and stuff. But Gwen,
They don't even have internet out there yet.
yeah, like her,
Well, they've got dial-up.
her farm, the farm that she lived on before she came to college, had like no internet. Sometimes it didn't have running water. Like it had a wood stove that Gwen slept next to. Like it's very like Cinderella-y, you know.
I mean, I did have to make sure the entire house was clean before I went to any dances in high school.
That's fair.
I was not allowed.
My life is Cinderella.
I've gotten the nickname before. I was once told I wasn't allowed to go because I didn't clean the back of the toilet well enough.
Yeah.
Until the cleaning part, I was just like, that just sounds Amish.
Nope.
Were
Nope.
there Amish people? Were there
Mennonites.
Mennonites? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're Mennonites.
Mennonites up there.
Yeah. Irish.
Irish?
Ah, the Irish.
I mean, I'm sure we had some of them
A
too.
little bit north.
Yes.
Yeah,
They're more Pennsylvania.
Lauren is from Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they've got the
Yeah.
Yeah.
white people. Are they Amish? Are they Mennonites? I don't
No,
remember.
it's a mix. It's mainly Amish, but there are Mennonites. But Ohio and Pennsylvania have the highest populations.
Yes. But I do know when it's legal to pass a horse and carriage on the road.
Yes.
And when is that?
Basically all the time because they have the triangular thing on the back,
Yeah.
and as long as there's no other car coming towards you, you're clear to pass behind it. Same as a tractor.
Gotcha. So yeah, so Gwen, after graduating from Full Sail, went looking for work, which is easier to do when you have a degree like hers. When you have an acting degree, as you know, it can be more difficult to find job opportunities. Whereas if you have something in a tech field that's more diverse, but she ended up. How did you end up on the cruise ship?
Well, first I worked for Busch Gardens.
Oh right, that's
And I did
correct.
2 seasons at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. But right before I graduated, I went, who could possibly need entertainment technicians? Who has entertainment? Where could I work? And I went, cruise lines have entertainment. So I pretended I was going to go on a cruise and went to a travel agency website, and every cruise line that showed up, I applied. And Celebrity's the one that got back to me 6 months later.
Ooh, they fancy.
Yes, they are the #1 premium cruise line in the world.
Yeah,
So
they're
tell-
my dream list.
Oh, that's the cruise that you want to go on?
Yeah, they have a really nice European tour.
They do,
Yeah.
yes. I would recommend doing it, not on a cruise ship, but if you really
Well,
want to do the cruise life, that's fine.
I also figured that doing it via the cruise to get samples of the cities
Okay, that
was
works.
easier and cheaper than really planning. I'm also lazy.
Oh, okay, yeah, that works great then. Because you
Super
can
easy.
just sign up for excursions, and they'll
Yeah.
run everything. They'll get you back to the ship. The ship won't leave without you. It's
Yeah.
nice.
That's my life.
As a member of a cruise ship and still kind of traveling and seeing the world,
Mhm.
what was that enjoyable? I know that you worked like a dog for them.
Yeah.
But on days off, what were some of your favorite places that you visited and the favorite things that you did?
So when I was in Estonia, I had bear dumplings, which were amazing, and I need to find a recipe for them because that was delicious. I also got
Bear dumplings is in bear meat.
Yes,
Okay.
dumplings with bear meat inside them. It was good.
What does bear taste like?
Delicious?
Is it gamey?
No.
No, it's a little bit meatier than.
Yeah.
It's not as lean as deer or.
I don't like
I don't like deer either.
Oh.
compared to elk.
I've never had elk.
No, if you like elk, you'll probably enjoy bear meat.
I would like to try bear.
And also
It has a little bit
dried
more-
beaver.
It's a little bit more flavor to it.
Okay. Bear dumplings. In
That was pretty
Estonia.
good. And Estonia is actually very technologically advanced, and the city we were in, everyone has internet, and there's Wi-Fi everywhere, and it's super great, which is nice. Let's see, where else was cool? Stockholm was cool. Kyle and I went to some museums there, and a cool cafe, and an amusement park. We were there a few times, which is how we had the time to do all of that. Because
I was about to say,
I only get about 5 hours out, and so including travel time to and from the ship and leaving time for me to get changed into my work clothes after everything, and sleeping in till a decent time, because I could get off the ship at 8 a.m. half the time, but I also worked until midnight or 1 o'clock, so I don't want to do that. I would like to sleep. Let's see, France was interesting, but also not
Where
really.
Did you catch the Mr. Mime?
I caught the Mr. Mime in Ibiza.
Yes.
I went out with my friend, a couple people.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mime the Pokemon?
Yes!
Nerd!
Did you expect anything else? How long have you known me?
Oh, coming close to a decade now.
Yes. So I went out with some friends in Ibiza. We were looking for the Hard Rock Cafe because I have a couple friends that their goal in life is to hit the Hard Rock Cafe, but we were a week after the season ended, so they were closed. So we went to this other place called Meat and got some delicious burgers, and they had Dr. Pepper, and I bought a bunch of them, I think. They also had a swing in their store. It was pretty cool. Side note about...
Sketches got gumballs in their store.
Shut the fuck up.
Side note is that it's very difficult to find Dr. Pepper in Europe, and I am obsessed with that drink. And so everyone was always on the lookout for me.
So Gwen worked, just as a side note, Gwen worked at a movie theater during the summers in between college and whenever she was in Williamsburg. And you know the largest drink that you can purchase at a movie theater? Mm-hmm. Gwen would buy one of those and fill it with Dr. Pepper and just drink that throughout her entire shift.
I go through about 3 of those a day. I drink way too much soda. And then,
Well, you did
Yeah.
state you hate water, so.
yeah.
There was also a time where she was only eating ramen noodles.
I mean, I've been there.
Sodium intake alone.
Yeah, I'm really not sure how I'm still alive, or the weight I am.
Yeah, you're tiny.
I am tiny. I'm
Yeah.
very tiny. But yeah, so we were in Ibiza, and then on the way back to the ship, you have to catch a bus to the pier. And so we were outside the pier, and the tracking showed up as a Mr. Mime was really close. And I was like, all right, well, guys, you get on the bus. I'll be there when I can. I'm going to look for this Mr. Mime. And so I walked back and forth in front of the buses for about 20 minutes, and everyone's looking at me like I'm insane. And then I got Mr. Mime.
Totally worth it.
It was so worth it.
You were in Ibiza,
Yes.
and you decided to catch Pokemon.
I catch Pokemon in every port.
Excuse me.
I was in St. Petersburg, Russia, catching Pokemon at 1 a.m.
How's that not dangerous?
Well, we were at the shuttle stop, and that's like where it's known that ship crew get picked up, I guess. We missed the bridge, okay?
What bridge?
St. Petersburg has a whole bunch of bridges that go up at a certain time in the night, and then you were stuck on whatever island in St. Petersburg you were on until the bridges go back down.
And is that like an
Interesting.
hourly thing? Is
It
that
was
like
from like midnight to 1:40 or something, and
Why do the bridges go up?
because the ships have to go through them.
Well, it made it sound like they just all went up at the same time.
Well, yeah, because there's like 6 bridges in a row. There's a lot of bridges
Okay.
and a lot of islands.
I
and
think in
stuff.
my mind this is mapped differently.
Look up a map of
Are
St.
you
Petersburg.
thinking bridges like on land?
Or are you thinking like a round island and
I'm
bridges
thinking
like
of
porting
like
out of them? I feel like you're thinking of like Queens and Brooklyn Bridge and like that kind of series, but
no, like an archipelago, and like there's just bridges everywhere, and they all just go up at the same time.
Well, I mean, to get through that one, I guess, channel area, you've got to have all of them up at the same time, or else you're gonna go, all right, gonna go forward a little. Oh, I guess I have to stop for an hour. But no, they don't do that. Amsterdam was fun. Saw a bunch of things there, and went to a wax museum, Van Gogh museums. Wandered around. There's a cool yarn store there. I knit a lot. I dragged Kyle
she's
to.
knitting right now.
I am
Just
actually.
guessing
I've been
that.
knitting.
Yeah,
this
she's
whole time.
knitting a sweater this entire fucking time.
I actually dragged Kyle to pretty much every yarn store I could find in Scotland, and also Ireland. He was a very good sport about it.
He seems to be a very good. Like, if there's one thing that we've gleaned from this podcast and you're talking about Kyle, he's generally a good sport.
Yes. Yes.
Is there any place left that you want to go?
Well, yeah, there's so many places left that I want to go.
Top of the list, like top.
Antarctica.
Okay.
I want to hit every single continent. I've only done Asia, Europe, and North America.
Where have you been in Asia?
I went to Korea, South Korea, when I was younger.
That's my jam.
Yep, that's Mick's spot right there.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there when I was younger. The blanket on my bed is from South Korea. My mom showed up in my room, 3 o'clock in the morning. Said, Gwen, wake up. Gwen, we're going to Korea. Wake up. Gwen, let's go.
How old were you at the time?
We were in Hawaii, so I was somewhere between 10 and 13. I just remember ages based on where I was living at the time, so I don't know exactly how old I was. I think I was in middle school, so probably 12. And I don't have that passport anymore, so I don't know. And so we went to the airport, and it was a military airport, so we did what's called space available, and you can sign up to be on a list if you get a letter from this person, and it's a lot of complicated things. And if they call your name and you have the correct amount of baggage or no baggage, then you can get on the plane for free. And if you pay $3.95, at that time it was $3.95, you got a boxed meal with like cookies and crackers and a sandwich and an apple and a soda and a water bottle in it. And so we would do that, and I would basically live off of that food for a couple days. But we did that, and as we're boarding the plane, my mom went, "Oh no, I forgot my diabetes medication."
Yeah, she was severely diabetic.
And so when we landed for the layover in Guam, we spent the whole time in the base hospital trying to get my mom some new diabetes stuff, which we did, which was good, because otherwise she might have died. And then we went and slept in the airport that night, and then took off the next day to go to Korea, where we wandered around and did some stuff. I mostly just wander around when I go to other places, because that's all I know how to do, because we didn't go to museums, we didn't speak any of the language, we didn't...
Just wander around.
Just wander around.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's
Yeah,
how you see things.
and that's how I see things, and that's how I like to experience other countries.
That's really cool.
But yeah, and then we were there for like a week and a half, and then we flew to Alaska, which is where the story gets problematic.
Okay.
I'm living in Hawaii.
Ah.
This is the middle of winter, actually. So I don't have any winter clothes for when we're in Korea, and then my mom didn't bring much money, so I didn't have any winter clothes for when we were in Korea, and I didn't get any. And I didn't have any winter clothes for when we were in Alaska, either. But we went to Alaska, and it turns out my mom had recently bought some property there, so we went to look at it. It's a swamp. We can't do anything with it. So we go back to the airport, and we start trying to catch a flight back to Hawaii. Turns out, the type of flights that we need for free don't happen between Hawaii and Alaska very often, because they only really transport weapons, and we're not allowed on those flights. And so we were stuck there for about 2 weeks, and we didn't stay in a hotel. We stayed in the airport. So I was just running around the airport for 2 weeks. I'd go play in the snow and then get really cold and come back in, and for some reason the hot chocolate machine was like 10 cents, so I got a lot of hot chocolate. And I lived in the playroom for kids in the airport, and it was kind of cool, but also, now that as an adult looking back, kind of terrible.
Yeah, that's
You're really
dramatic.
I'm also missing school at the time.
You just also described the basic plotline to the movie Terminal.
But with children. Also, Gwen has nerve damage and is constantly cold, and now that I'm hearing that story, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
No, that's always been there, though.
Where did the nerve damage come from?
I think I was born with it. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be degenerative or change at all, so whatever.
It's just cold, always.
Pretty much always cold.
I
Yes.
tried really hard to keep you warm the other day.
Yeah, it didn't really work, but thank you, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I tried hard.
We sat in the sun a lot.
Yeah. And then started pacing around as a small guy.
Yes.
Granted, we were getting our steps in for Pokemon. Don't judge us.
Yes.
Only judging, it's all I know how to do.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes. But that was a fun trip.
Alright, so, and are you following your dad around at the time, or is this just your
This was when we lived in Hawaii, so Dad was stationed on land, I believe teaching people how to shoot at the base near Pearl Harbor, which is called Ford's Island. So we weren't following Dad around because he was living in one place and we lived on base. But previous to that, when he had been stationed on a ship, my mom would follow him to whatever port he was in, and sometimes take us with her and sometimes not. When I was 3 months old, she dropped me off at my aunt's house and went to go follow him for a little while because no one would tell her where he was. I found her diary from then, which is how I know.
How did she find him?
I don't know, it cut off like in the middle. She just got bored and stopped writing, which is understandable. She was very dyslexic, and I was surprised she made it as far as she did. She made it a week into that journal, which was very impressive. But a lot of times, like, we'd just get picked up from school. We're gonna go to Italy today because your dad's gonna be ported there for a few days, and we're gonna go see him. Cool, whatever.
At what point did you realize that wasn't normal?
Well, I mean, none of my other classmates did that, so I guess I realized that it wasn't normal fairly young, but then again, none of my classmates really had parents in the Navy. I didn't realize, probably until college, how absolutely weird my life is.
Yeah, because, like, we used to have weird offs, and there came a point where we had to stop letting Gwen play. Because, like, my life is weird. Like, weird things happen to me. It is not even close to a chapter of what has gone on in Gwen's life that was weird. What is, say we had a weird off right now.
Alright.
Okay, and I let you play this time.
Okay.
What would be your trump card?
I mean, living in a storage container in the middle of a desert works a lot.
Yeah.
That's
Face. That would win.
Yeah.
Any sort of backstory.
Okay, so you've seen storage container houses.
Yes.
My mom saw those in the early 2000s and was like, I could do that. I could do that. So she bought some land in this place called Rancheros Estates in Hawaii, which does not have power or sewage or water, or it's a desert. It's a lava rock desert. Not like the fun, shiny lava rock, the super hard, prickly shit that, like, attacks your feet and stuff.
Right.
It's terrible. So she also really liked government auctions. So she would go online to the government auctions and buy things. She bought a shipping container, she bought a revolving door, she bought 6 incubators. We put all these things into the storage container, and then also a broken couch and a mattress, and sent it over to the big island of Hawaii, which is where she had bought this land. We were living on Oahu at the time. And so Mom was like, all right, it's summer, I'm gonna take the kids, we're gonna go out there, and we're gonna try and turn this into a house. Oh, she also bought a very large truck. I believe it's, she called it a deuce and a half, but it was, I think, a mobile command center? There were plugs in the back, and it ran on basically anything that would burn.
A mobile command center.
It was very loud and would only go about 12 miles an hour. So that got sent over there too. We never used the plugs in the back. I don't know if they worked. But so we went over there, and Mom rented a cement mixer, and the first day was whoever makes the best table gets to choose dinner. Or gets dinner. I don't remember which one. We had a bucket for a toilet. We put a toilet seat on it. Nothing else in the bucket but the things and so our light at night was also one little solar garden light that we just stuck outside during the day. So yeah, it failed miserably, but we were there for a few weeks, and then apparently I was being annoying. So a few blocks over and up, there was this woman who had 5 horses. And my mom believed somewhere in her heart that, or she read somewhere, something, that girls who are interested in horses take a lot longer to be interested in boys. Which, by the way, that seems to have worked. So anytime there were horses, she wanted to get me involved. And this woman had 5 horses. She had also broken her back 4 times and her knees 3 times. So she wasn't very mobile. So
Is this related to the horses or different?
Yeah, no, she just...
She fell off horses.
I don't know what happened. I didn't really ask. She was pretty high most of the time. So I would go over and feed the horses and play with the horses and sleep on the horses and all that during the day, and Mom would do whatever it was she did, and Eve would do whatever it was she did. And then at the end of the day, I'd go back to the storage container and sleep on this broken couch, which was super fun because my sister, who generally weighs more than me, would sleep on the upper part of the broken couch, and I would sleep on the lower part, and she would inevitably roll over and squish me in my sleep. But yeah, we lived in a storage container for a little while.
That is not the story I thought you were going to use.
Which one did you think I was going to use?
When you lived in the haunted hotel.
Oh, yeah, I also lived in a haunted hotel.
What?
You were going to need backstory on that as well.
Okay, so when my dad left the military, we didn't have anywhere to live. We lived with a friend for a little while, and then my mom was like, well, we gotta go back to Virginia, because we were in Hawaii. So we went back to Virginia, and my grandfather owned at the time the Hotel John Marshall in Richmond. And this is while it was still open. The first 2 floors were open. We lived on the 3rd floor, so the first 2 floors were open for guests when we moved in. he said we could stay there and like watch the hotel. And so we did, and then the hotel closed, and we were still living there. But this hotel opened the day before the stock market crashed in 1929. It's a very large hotel in downtown Richmond with ballrooms and such, and there are, I was told, 14 documented ghosts there. Yeah, so...
Does the building still exist?
Yeah, it's
Do you have
luxury
keys to
apartments
it?
right now.
Okay.
No, my grandfather sold it a few years after we moved out. Lived there for like a year, 2 years, something like that. But it is now...
Anyone who listens to this knows anyone who lives in those now luxury apartments. I need to know stories.
Lauren's very interested in ghosts.
I can tell you hours of ghost stories. But then we moved to the farm, and then we lived there for a while. But yeah, we lived in this haunted hotel that was haunted. And
Were there chickens in the hotel?
yeah, we also kept chickens in the hotel for a little while.
So.
My mom really wanted, so we were planning to move to a farm, and my mom really wanted chickens. So she got some chickens. Well, for her birthday, she was given chickens. And we kept them on the 8th floor, which was 5 stories above us. And
Just the whole floor.
well, we kept them in one room. Otherwise, it would be
Okay.
impossible to find them. There were only 6 of them, and then one of them
I'm
died.
just thinking like a floor of chickens.
Oh. No, and there were only 6 of them, and then one of them died of dehydration. They were named Fried, General So's, Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner.
Solid.
That's the general theme of all the livestock Gwen has owned.
We had a cow named Steak, and Hamburger, and Sirloin. We're big on not getting too attached to the livestock. But my sister is now a vegetarian, so that didn't seem to work out too well.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Why do you make direct eye contact with me when you said that?
Because you're sitting next to me.
Oh, I thought it was because I'm
Vegetarian.
vegetarian. You bitch. Yeah, okay, so let's see. Haunted hotel story. I'm trying to hit all the highlights of what is judgy
So,
face.
wait,
I have no
what?
other face.
So, wait.
Leatherface.
When I was hanging out with you and Britta the other day, she kept saying the term demi.
Okay, demisexual. I didn't really elaborate on this, and I should have. Asexual is also an umbrella term, so there are several things underneath it. Demisexual is one of them. Brittany is demisexual. Kyle is demisexual. And it means that you have to form a strong emotional bond with someone before you feel sexual attraction, which is not most. A lot of people have tried to tell him, oh, that's just a long-term relationship, and no, that's not it. It's he doesn't ever
It's a level of trust, almost, right?
kind of, yeah, but he's never looked at someone and been like, I want to have sex with them, unless he also has a very strong emotional bond with them as well. Yes.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's talk about how the time you almost killed me on the train tracks.
All right. So we're going to some party in the winter.
It was the winter formal.
the
What
winter
fuck
formal.
What the fuck did they call that?
I can't remember.
Snowball.
Yeah, the snowball. We were going to the snowball, and I'm the only one with a car, so everybody is piled.
It was a Sebring convertible
Everybody-
that broke down all the time.
It did not.
It
That was
did.
the Subaru.
That
The Sebring was fine until. I mean, the windows and the roof didn't work, but that's not breaking down. But it was fine until it blew up. The Subaru just broke down on the side of the road all the time. But so we're going to the snowball or whatever the fuck it's called, and they are also having some other party in town, so I can't go my usual way. But I'm like, oh, there's this back way. I'll go the back way. And I was under the impression that these train tracks were not in use. So I didn't really look before going over them, and Chris just starts screaming from the back seat, and so I got it, because I looked to the side and see the bright light heading toward us, and we just barely made it over the train tracks before the train came through.
Like,
Why?
probably literal seconds.
Why in a town, like a college town, and train tracks, was there no railroad crossings?
This was a very, very back way.
Yes, we should not have been going the way we were going.
We shouldn't have, but there was no other way that was gonna, like, not cost us an hour.
Yeah, and we were already late.
So I feel like y'all just like drove through a field and we're like,
No,
fuck
it wasn't.
No, see,
No.
because we've done that, and this was different.
Yeah, I've done that. This is different.
Yeah.
There were roads the whole time, It was just not necessarily roads we were supposed to be on.
Yeah.
Just not public access roads.
They were public access, but
Public in the fact that we could get to them.
there were no gates I had to go through.
Right.
They were just behind buildings.
Right. And then so I'm gonna tell this story, but Gwen is involved in it, and Gwen is the primary reason that it happened. So, Thanksgiving. I had just started dating Chris. We had been together maybe a year. This was our first Thanksgiving as a couple.
Oh, right.
Gwen's birthday is very close to Thanksgiving, depending on where it falls. So she's like, how about when we go home, because we tend to all go home together, because she lived in Williamsburg, I lived in Suffolk in the 757, and Chris lived in Virginia Beach, so it made sense for us to go together.
I'm also the only one with the car again.
Yes, still the only one with the car, no matter how shitty it was. At this point, she is driving the Subaru.
Yes, that's very important. for
She's
the
like,
story.
so I want to go and see my dad in North Carolina. That's relatively close to Suffolk. We can just all, do you want to come with us? Or come with me? And we're like, yeah, sure. So we go, we spend the night, we have a good time, we have breakfast with her dad, we get on the road.
I also needed to pawn my alcohol off on somebody else because I don't drink.
Or didn't drink. She does now.
No, I don't.
I thought you
Stopped
drank.
again.
Okay. Never mind. I can never keep up. You give me whiplash. So we are on 95, and we are driving, and we are speeding, and she looks over at me and says, I don't want you to panic, but I can't brake. And I said, okay. Pull over the shoulder, and we will just keep driving on the shoulder until the car comes to a stop. So we eventually, I don't know like how it happened, but we end up stopped on the shoulder of I-95 on Thanksgiving, and she calls AAA,
I call my insurance.
or yeah, whatever, and it was like, you need to send a tow truck out here, and they're like, where are you? We're like, we are on 95 somewhere. So I call my mother. And I say, first thing in the phone is, how much do you love me? And she goes, what do you want? And I was like, well, here's the situation. We are waiting on a tow truck. We are stuck somewhere in North Carolina on I-95. When I know more, I'll let you know. She's like, okay, I'll get in the car now. So the tow truck finally shows up, and they pull us off the highway onto an exit, and they leave us in the parking lot of an auto zone.
Yes.
And we still have to wait for my mom. So we are like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna make the best of this. And I found a huge jug of cranberry juice in the back of her truck, in the back of her car. And so we're having pseudo Thanksgiving breakfast, which consisted mainly of cranberry juice and purse tacos.
Purse tacos were mine.
Yeah. What those are is just those soft tacos you can get from Taco Bell. So we believed at the time that if you stored them in your purse and just let them get lukewarm, that was the best time to eat them.
That's still how I feel about soft tacos.
So, you know, Thanksgiving breakfast of purse tacos and cranberry juice. And as we're sitting there in the parking lot of this auto zone, this gentleman of homeless nature starts circling us. We didn't really notice it at first until he kept coming around. And then on his last time coming around, he cut through our group, our threesome, kicked Chris, muttered something, and kept walking.
By the way, historically, Chris has not been helpful when it comes to creepy dudes.
No, because Chris is oblivious to creepy.
When
Chris is just not helpful sometimes in general.
Yeah, that's true.
when Eve's car broke down and those four men showed up out of the shadows to help us push it, Chris was like,
God.
I'ma sit in the car.
Yeah, so we got stuck. So I grew up in a not so good neighborhood. And we got broken down in my neighborhood. And four men came out of the bushes, all of a similar uniform, shall we say. And they're like, y'all need help with your car? And I said, sure. 'Cause I don't know how to say no to someone that terrified. And Chris is like, well, I'm gonna be in the car.
Just gets in the car, pulls out the DS, I think.
Yeah, he had a DS
I
at the time.
hate him.
So this is Chris.
I yelled at him a lot.
Close to like 8 years ago. Very different from now. Still not helpful, but in a different way. So, back to the story. So he kicks Chris, mumbles something, keeps walking. Chris goes, "This man has marked me for death."
Actual
We have
words.
to go.
Actual words.
So we get up, we lock her car, I think,
Yeah, we locked it.
and we ran across the street to the subway, because 1, they were open, and 2, there were cop cars in the parking lot. And that is the only time I have run towards the police. My mom showed up probably, I don't know, an hour later, and then we all had to go to Virginia Beach to have Thanksgiving with Chris's family.
And then...
Yay.
And then I went home to my family's Thanksgiving. I had like 3 Thanksgivings that day. It was pretty great.
Yep. All things considered, a pretty good day. But yeah, there have been many a perilous situation that we have been in together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gwen is the person that tricked me into going to the hospital after I broke my foot.
Good move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
No,
being
she's
really
got-
whiny.
She's got a lot of stuff wrong with her right now. She's not getting a job.
Yeah. Hello, eye doctor. And
We're
dermatologist. Are we?
Making
Her and I are
appointment.
going to go to the dentist once I find one.
There's a dental
haven't been
school
to a
in the area. There's a dental school in the area. It's a lot cheaper than a regular dentist, and they
Well, there's a reason for that. They're students.
I like going to students.
for certain things they're fine.
I just
And
need
they have
to
a-
keep cleaning.
Yeah, and they have somebody in the room. Like
I got my
with all
hair
that.
permed by a student. It was like $5.
Yeah, it's a lot
You know,
cheaper.
You better stop talking.
But yeah, so I guess it's finally time that I tell the story. How I broke my foot.
Yes.
So,
All of Corey's skeletons.
do you guys remember Skip-Its?
Oh, this is only going to go well.
So there was a time in freshman year of college where everyone around me was like, we need to reclaim our childhood.
I'm sorry, you used sidewalk chalk too, and were coloring with me on the porch.
That, I didn't say that I wasn't also in it. I'm saying like I
It
was
was a
within the
movement.
movement.
Okay.
Yes. And that movement involved Skip-Its. Which, for those who don't remember what those are, you put it around, there was a circle that you put around, you put it over your foot onto your ankle.
You're describing this so
Fuck you! And then there was like a long tether, and at the end of it was a ball, or it really it's a weight because it is so fucking heavy.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to like spin it around and jump over it, right?
You're just hula hooping something on your ankle like an idiot.
Yeah. So they got a bunch of those, and I was skipping class at the time. That's important later.
I was in class.
I was skipping class at the time. That is important later.
With your skip it.
Yes, yes. And shut the fuck up. So the boys are doing it, and they are not doing it well. And I was like, okay, well, let me try it. So as it turns out, my hand-eye coordination has only gotten worse as I get older. So we're skipping on the sidewalk, and I was notoriously barefoot that year, just always. And so I do it a couple of times, and then I falter, trip, and my foot lands on its side. And I immediately know something is wrong. So I call Gwen and the guy I was seeing at the time to come and, because they both had some sort of first aid training, and see what is wrong with my foot, because I am terrified of hospitals and I don't trust doctors. It's a whole fucking thing. So they're like, well, it looks like your ankle's probably broken. I'm like, fuck my ankle, something's wrong with my foot. And they're like, no, you're probably fine. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to the fucking hospital because I don't have insurance. So I walked on it for 3 days.
You also complained every single step.
Yes, because it fucking hurt,
And we stole crutches for you from the theater.
which I didn't use.
Yes.
So,
I yelled at her every time I saw her.
yeah, so I got somehow really strong naproxen.
Yes.
Advil. Something that was prescribed to a doctor. I think a friend of ours had back issues and she slipped me a couple. And Gwen found me after I had taken them and was like, Corey, get in the car, we're gonna go get ice cream. And I was like, okay. So I got in the car, and then somehow 45 minutes later I was in the emergency room. And as it turns out, I had fractured one of my metatarsal bones, which is the side ones that are on your foot, 85% of the way through, which is incredibly hard to repair because, one, it's in your foot, and two, a fracture is much more difficult to repair instead of a clean break. So I was laid up for 9 months, and within those 9 months, Chris, my now husband, decided that's the girl I want to be with. So literally on our first date, I was in an air cast, and I had some sort of throat infection that had a golf ball. I had like a golf ball sized growth on the side of my neck, and he still decided to be with me.
He's like, that's my woman.
Yep. But I never would have gotten it looked at if Gwen hadn't tricked me into the hospital.
Yep.
The first time. The second time there was something else wrong with me, and she made a large Filipino man carry me to the car to go to the hospital.
Yep. She stopped trusting me when I said let's go places out of the blue, so...
There was a reason, Gwen! You tricked me!
Yes.
That's the basis of our friendship.
You're an
Gwen,
idiot.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
an idiot.
Gwen
Gwen tricks me. And
She's an idiot, I fix it.
Not always. There have been a couple of times where I did the responsible thing. I just did the stupid thing before I did the responsible thing. Like when I lost that foreign exchange student at Troville.
Yeah, because I wouldn't go to Trollville with you guys.
Well, that was a smart thing that you did there.
I only went once, and then I got made fun of.
Well, yeah. So she went to Troville, and then a friend of ours saw her at Troville and said, Gwen, what's your boring ass doing at Troville? And that was the last time that Gwen went to Troville. By the way, it is called Troville because it's our only frat house and it's located under a bridge. They're very clever.
You also...
Okay,
you
I was like, you need some context. I don't know what the
There's
fuck
also no
Troville is.
toilet there, so you go and you lean against the back of the back
No.
wall.
There's a toilet. You
Oh.
don't want to use it.
Oh, I was under the impression there was no toilet in that house.
No,
you
they're
go
just
pee in the
animals.
creek.
Yeah. They got a piss creek.
Yep, pee creek. You go up behind the house, and
And you pee.
if you're lucky, you've got a friend with you to stand guard.
This is not a place I want to be.
Yeah, no,
That's why I
Graduated
didn't. This is why I didn't go
to Troville.
to Trollville.
She did
Yes,
go to Ferrum.
I did go to
many
Ferrum
years.
for 3 years.
Yeah, casual. But yeah, so I lost a foreign exchange student there, and then like I was blacking out, so I got scared and I called Gwen, and she came to get me because I ran away from the party.
Good call.
So I'm gonna say something that you should probably edit out later. Did you check Sarah?
Like, did I?
When
check
you
to
lost-
make sure she's okay.
No, when you lost the foreign exchange student, did you find my roommate Sarah?
No, it was a girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and also I believe Sarah was with us, and I lost her too.
Okay.
Immediately.
Well, then, you know, there's a good chance.
Yeah.
She's also pansexual.
Yes, so we all went together. So we decided if we were going to go to Trovo, we were going to go shitface. So
the only
at
way
the
to go there.
time, Burnett's was coming out with a wider assortment of flavors, and one of their flavors was whipped cream. Stay with me. So we
No,
were
I
like,
just know where you're going.
I was like, if we get orange soda and get whipped cream vodka, we can make creamsicles. So we got those big gulps from like that you can get at a gas station, and a friend of mine went in on a bottle of vodka and then fucking split it. And she couldn't finish her drink, so I finished mine and hers. And so when we went to Troville, we were shit-faced at the time, and we went with a whole bunch of people, and I lost everyone immediately, including a little Korean girl who I still didn't locate until the next day. And so I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So I run back to the place where we were pre-gaming, and I call Chris, and Chris is like, well, I'm too drunk, I can't come get you. So he hands the phone to Gwen, and I try to explain to her where I am, but I don't do a good job, and I hang up the phone. So then Gwen comes to get me, and then we go back, and I'm trying to be quiet, and I am not quiet. And
I've heard this story.
Yep. And I throw open the door and go, hey! Hey, run upstairs, and collapse onto the bed that Chris and I slept on, and I did not move for the next 12 hours. But yeah. So, Gwen, anything else you would like to add to the podcast before I wrap it up here?
No, I think we've covered a lot of things.
Yep. Yeah, this is going to be a bitch to edit. But on that note, this has been Taco Tuesday. We want to thank you for joining us in this special interview with my friend Gwen. If you would like to hit us up, you can find us at Timewasterz, one word with a Z, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We also stream on Twitch several nights a week. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at timewasters07@gmail.com. That's timewasters with the Z 07@gmail.com. This was Taco Tuesday, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.
Subscribe.
Nerd-